And I am Aisha Ibrahim here in the studio. Executive Director of Star Ghana, Ibrahim Tanko Amidu, says processes are ongoing for the enactment of a law to enhance the governance of the civil society sector following recent concerns about the conduciveness of the environment for civic engagement. There's currently a trust bill on non-governmental organizations and a draft of non-profit organizations bill aimed at regulating activities of CSOs in the country. Samuel Mbura has more.
CSOs in the history of civil movement in Ghana have made attempts at fostering a united front, which is evident in establishment of the platforms such as the Ghana Association of Private Voluntary Organizations in Development in the 1980s. This is further deepened by the thematic funder guarantee issue-based groupings, meetings and network. The Executive Director of Star Ghana, Ibrahim Tanko Amidu, who spoke to Joy News at a National Civil Society Forum seeking to establish a common platform to promote knowledge sharing, said there's a need for them to work towards enhancing accountability to the citizenry and strengthening their capacities to be more effective.
Civil society organizations differ according to where they work, what issues they focus on, the types of civil society organizations, and etc. So we are quite different. But we think that across these differences, there are areas where of common interest, how we can enhance our accountability to the citizens of this country, how we can strengthen our capacity to be more effective, in the work that we do, but also how to ensure that we are legitimate and we comply with the regulatory requirements. We want to create a space where periodically we can come together to assess the health of the civil society sector, but also to see what can we do to ensure that civil society organizations are more sustainable, they are more effective, they are more legitimate, and they are more accountable. Outside of that, organizations differ in what they want to achieve, and we don't think that it is possible and necessary to try and then pull everybody together under one umbrella.
Ghana currently has a vibrant NGO and CSO system with a total of about 2,295 registered institutions. But just like any other sector, this space also has peculiar challenges. Mr. Ibrahim Tanko Amidu explains.
Well, there are quite a number of challenges. First is the whole issue around declining assistance to the sector. A lot of civil society organizations depend on external donors for their funding. Now, this funding is decreasing. And so how do we re-strategize to look at how we fund the work of civil society organizations? That's number one. Number two is how do we, around certain issues, how do we have collective action, beyond what our specific objectives? What mechanisms do we have for collective or coordinated action? The third is around, the regulatory framework. How do we advocate with government to ensure that we have policies and laws and etc. that provide an enabling environment for civil society organizations to work on. And I think the fourth is looking at our own accountability mechanisms. What do we need to do to support civil society organizations to be more accountable to not just to the donors, but also to the citizens of this country, because it is in their name that we are working. And so that whole thing around mechanisms for accountability is quite important.
Meanwhile, founder and president of Imani Africa, Franklin Kujo, said CSOs will have to consider internal funding of the activities.
Well, there's segmentation. I mean, there are national level organizations and there are local level organizations. I can imagine that there's a common theme that runs through the challenges, which is finance. It's even more precarious right now, given the impairment of the global economy, not just the recent Ukrainian crisis, but also COVID. And indeed, the funding for the space was almost dwindling, even before the onset of these rather unforeseen challenges. So, like I tell people, it's crunch time. I mean, it's about time we looked at resources from within. Because ultimately, what we do benefit the people of Ghana. I am quite worried that we normally raise money from our side, or we have donors who come and give us money to do work that will benefit Ghanaians. Most of the time, people think that when donors give us money, it is for the benefit of the donors. Of course, they may have an interest in making sure Ghana is stable and what have you. But if